And we're now joined on our 1 hour news, actually it's a 90-minute Newsmaker show today we're being joined by Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard. Sheriff Allard, thanks for phoning in.
Hey, no worries. Always good to talk to you, Brian.
Well, Sheriff Jim Allard, you put out a statement yesterday about the social distancing law enforcement that you're going to be doing. Has that gone into effect yet, or did I understand it correctly that it goes into effect on Saturday night of this week? How's that work?
So it was an executive order that was already published by the governor, and all we did was look at it locally as to the applicability of it and what to do with it when the complaints come, because it established a hotline at the state level, which is then turned around to the county level to investigate and deal with, and that's already in place. So what we did as a group in Steuben County was look at, okay, what's reasonable for Steuben County to help our folks keep themselves safe and to help our folks comply with this state mandate, and how are we going to best deal with our folks that live in our citizens in Steuben County in a proactive way that helps them stop the spread, stay home, and obey the social distancing rules, but still educate them as to the fact that, hey, this is out there, and it may come down to an enforcement aspect. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's all education and compliance, but there is that very real possibility of enforcement going along with it.
Sheriff Allard, wondering what kind of complaints the Sheriff's Department is getting. Are you getting complaints that unessential businesses are still open? Are you getting complaints that people are standing too closely to each other and breaking the social distancing rules? Are you getting complaints that people are breaking their quarantines? What kind of complaints are you hearing?
All of the above. We're getting complaints of businesses staying open, so we send a deputy to investigate non-essential businesses. We get complaints of social gatherings in parks and in other areas, so we send deputies to investigate that. We've had complaints of house parties and things of that nature, so we send folks to investigate that. And again, the goal is compliance with the executive mandate. It's not that we're looking to disrupt people's lives. We're looking to keep them safe and keep them from infecting others. And I just heard of one where an infected person was at two different bonfires over the weekend in another part of the county, and we want to make sure that the folks that were exposed are getting the testing and treatment they need. And again, the whole emphasis on this is to make sure that we as members of the community do everything we can to keep ourselves and our families and our other community members safe from this virus.
When you see social distancing complaints, if I could ask the age of the people who are breaking the rules, is it people who normally would be partying at that age? Is it college age, people in their 20s, or all ages? What are you seeing there?
Well, we're seeing a big mix. We've had complaints of folks playing a tournament, a basketball tournament in a public park, and from not just from Steuben County, but from neighboring counties as well. And obviously we dispersed that with some education and said, hey, go on home and be safe. The house parties are typically younger folks that are doing what younger folks do. But again, this is a temporary thing that we need to be extra vigilant during and make sure that we come out the other end as healthy as we can. We're seeing some folks that say, hey, it's my constitutional right to go wherever I want and do what I want. Well, again, this is a special time. And this is a time where, the Constitution hasn't gone away, but we have to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep our community members safe. And it's a declared state of emergency. it means that we have to be more careful than we normally would.
What kind of businesses, Sheriff, do you find are breaking the rules as far as keeping their businesses open?
And again, we haven't, so as far as I know, with all the investigations we've done, we have yet to find anyone who was completely not in compliance. And it's your non-essential businesses, whether it's hair cutting or folks that are, doing cosmetic things for members of the population that people still want, and most of them are privately owned businesses that are struggling to get by, and my heart breaks for them. But at this point in time, we just can't have those folks allowing congregations to happen in their businesses. So everybody that we've met with has complied. And that's my hopes that as we move on with this, everybody that we meet with will continue to comply. Compliance is the goal. Obviously, telling people what to do is not what we're looking for. What we're looking for is helping people realize that in order to keep everybody else safe, we have to maintain the social distancing.
How about quarantine violators, Sheriff? Does your department get involved with that at all?
It depends where it occurs. And so yes and no. If it occurs in an area where there's local police department that's 24/7, we're going to coordinate with them and work with them because it's their jurisdiction. Outside of that, then it's probably going to be ours, and there has been a couple reports of that I know public health has followed up on. And again, a lot of these violations are through the public health law, almost all of them. And there's some pretty hefty civil fines for those that do violate them, should they violate them. And I know that the state has a task force already developed to look into these issues and level civil fines and penalties. But the bigger thing is if you're quarantined, there's a real reason for that. And if you break that quarantine, you endanger your family, your neighbors, your other community members, and it can be very far-reaching as to who you're actually endangering. So the bigger issue is be a good member of the community and don't break that quarantine.
Speaking with Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard in this segment of the Newsmaker Show. Coming up at 9, we have Dr. Ismail Mayer, Dr. John Robshaw, and St. James CEO Brian O'Donovan. On the topic of the hospital, Sheriff Allard, you helped out in the move to St. James, and from what I understand, the Sheriff's Department is involved with security for the hospital. Wondering, have there been any incidents? I know, I don't want to say on a regular basis, but in the ER, you get your drunk driving arrests and you get your drug arrests. A lot of them will end up there. Wondering, are those sorts of incidents decreased with this situation as far as reports from the hospital about behavior problems in the ER?
Yeah, we haven't had any reports that I'm aware of behavioral problems in the ER since the new hospital opened. There may have been some, I'm just not aware of them. And again, it's set up differently, and everything goes through the ER right now for the hospital, and both St. James and Corning Guthrie are doing that, trying to funnel and limit the amount of people that come in. Ira Davenport's doing the same thing, and I think that's a good plan. The healthcare workers are basically taking a deep breath before the plunge right now, I think. And we're prepared here in Steuben County, and I think that Darlene Smith, the public health director, and Jack Wheeler, the county manager, and working with Mayor Buckley and City Manager Reichman and all the other municipal leaders in our county have done a great job in not chasing the virus, but staying ahead of it with the decisions they've made. And I think that's going to be key. Again, we're Steuben County is 2 to 3 times larger than any of our neighboring counties. And covering that distance with the resources that we have, even on the public health end, creates its own type of crisis. With the amount of, we've got 3 small hospitals to cover that vast expanse of territory with a limited number of ICU beds. That's a challenge in and of itself that is presented before one person got sick. So now that we're up in the 90s now, I believe.
Are drunk and drug arrests, are they decreased now with this situation countywide, Sheriff?
Over the past 2 weeks, yeah, we've seen a decrease in arrests because, again, my direction to our deputies is let's only make those stops when it's a public safety necessity. Let's not be making stops that we don't need. Let's not be doing face-to-face interactions that we don't need. If it's necessary, make the stop, make the arrest, do everything involved with that. As you see, we still are making arrests. But if we can limit the amount of face-to-face times for our deputies, that's a plus, because we also have to keep that workforce as healthy as possible. All of our employees have been screened daily for the past 3 weeks, in that when they come to work, when they call in service, they get their temperature taken, they're checked for symptoms. And knock on wood, none of our inmates and none of our employees have been symptomatic at all. And if they were symptomatic, obviously, we have plans with a Prime Care, our medical provider at the jail, to deal with that. And if an employee becomes symptomatic, they're going to go home.
We're speaking with Steuben County Sheriff Jim Allard. And Sheriff Allard just got a call from the hospital. Dr. Mayer, Dr. Robshaw, and St. James CEO Brian O'Donovan. We're hoping to go on a little bit early today. Would that be okay if we took a break and then came back with the doctors from the hospital? Sorry to cut you short, Sheriff.
No, that's fine and dandy. Whatever makes sense for your program is good with me.
Sheriff, I want to thank you so much for coming on, and we always get a lot and learn a lot from speaking with you.
I appreciate that. Hey, stay healthy and stay safe, Brian.
Will do, and you too. Thank you so much, Sheriff. We'll be back in just a moment with St. James. Stay with us.
Working from home is on everybody's mind today. Maybe now is the perfect time for you to work for yourself and start your own home-based business using OPM, Other People's Money. The OPM Wealth System shows you exactly how to run your own home-based business.